Hey guys, it's Will. So today the market absolutely rocketed. We see it go from being down a couple 10 or 20% to then today surging. I think it was 8 or 9% at one point today for SPY. That's absolutely bonkers. And what we could see here for today is we're taking a look at some of the stocks that are in AI. But the biggest movers that we see today, I mean, Bitcoin is up 7%. Take a look at Tesla. I mean, Tesla is crushing it. Big Bear AI was up. The after hours don't look so hot. They're a little bit down, but I believe that most of the tech and AI was up tremendously today. A lot of things in the green. We had a really profitable trade this morning on SOXL or XOXL, I should say. We were trading the semiconductor space. That's why our portfolio is up 23% because, well, Nvidia was up, Microsoft was up, and we also saw man, the semiconductor space rallying like crazy. So, what is next in the markets? Well, right now we see a really nice recovery, a really good feel for what today was like was there's hope. Maybe we'll be okay, especially with Trump recently announcing that he's putting a pause on the tariffs for everyone except for China. And for the next 60 or 90 days, we're going to see the negotiations that come out, which will most likely be a lot more favorable for other countries than what was previously imposed. So, what we're going to expect is in the near term, I would imagine that the markets can have some volatility in the more positive light than negative light. When it comes to looking forward to, let's say, getting imports for your t-shirt business, not looking so hot. Your gym wear business that you ship from China, not so hot. The businesses that run on TikTok, not so hot. That's not so good. There's a lot of Americans that run businesses that rely on Chinese imports. There's also a lot of businesses that rely solely on the US, like construction. We could see maybe some timber coming from other countries, but that will be strong. We could look at, for example, the semiconductor space. Yeah, tariffs were imposed on China, but we don't get our semiconductors from China. We get them from Taiwan. Taiwan's still sending, but also we have Taiwan Semiconductor, the basically biggest semiconductor company in the world, right next to Broadcom, which really cool thing. Broadcom, I just saw their, I don't live here in Colorado Springs. I'm just visiting, but yesterday I actually took an Uber to the wrong place to go to the symposium. I went to the wrong place and they brought me to the Broadcom headquarters, which is really funny. So I got to see them. They supply the chips for Google and Apple. And so that was really cool. But anyway, the reality of the market is that there's a lot of industries that will still be strong, like semiconductors. Taiwan semiconductors are building in the US. I think this tariff thing shakes a lot of US companies to say we should probably do a little more manufacturing in the US. And then some might say, well, I don't want to have things way more expensive in the US and I don't want to work a job that's going to be a Chinese wage, so that's not a good thing. But on the other hand, I mean, in 2025, the time we're in now, I'd imagine a lot of these tech companies, it's basically they're still going to have low margins because why? I mean, I would imagine they're going to be using some robots for a fair amount of the manufacturing. I mean, you already see that with big companies, Tesla, a lot of automotive companies. You got robotics companies. If they're a robotics company, there's a pretty good chance that they have robots being constructed by other robots. That's right. You could look at Walmart, for example, or even Kroger, which owns a huge percentage of the supermarkets in the US. Walmart's, they're using symbiotic robotics. So they have less employees and more robots that are working. So maybe that means that there's some scarcity around, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to get stuff so cheap from China. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, in the freaky time of robotics, that could more or less mean that we see some of those costs still not hit us as hard if the companies are using robotics for the development or the manufacturing of goods. So that's interesting. But anyway, at the end of the day, I think that when we're looking at the markets, we're seeing a temporary relief. I think that in the next year or so, and in the way I look at it, I mean, Goldman Sachs says that they're changing their trajectory to be more bullish. We've seen the market do these huge dips like we saw recently and then recover fully. And it's possible. It's possible that happens right now. But what I would expect is some nice green days that we can take advantage of. Maybe tomorrow we see a sell-off at market open, and then we get to ride a dip and buy it and see it go up. That could be a plan that we put into place in our live sessions, which if you want to be there, it's that second link in the description. Would love to have you guys there. In Stockmate, it's getting pretty interesting, especially with all this new tech that we're discovering here at the Space Symposium. But anyway, I pulled up these charts. We see SPY moving the way that it's moving. I have Rocket Lab pulled up this whole time, so I don't know what's going on there. At the end of the day, the most interesting companies that we're watching are in right now. I think that one that's really underrated that's going to impact the market is oil. Oil is going to see a tremendously more attentive look from investors because oil is getting produced more in the US. So I think that will be relatively good for the US companies. We'll see how that goes. Now, let's pull up SPY. As you can see, you got SPY. It was down to 481, and then it not fully, I don't want to say fully, but it recovered up to 548. Okay, so pretty big recovery today. Is it a pullback before a dip back down? Maybe. If we go back to 2020, this is kind of like what it reminds me of. Like 2020 dip was right here. It was about 34%. And this was right when COVID hit. And you could see that it started to have days like this. We saw big push-ups. Then it got rejected by the EMA. And then people were probably scared. Some shorts entered. And then the market absolutely rallied from there. I mean, it's possible we have something similar. The China tariffs are going to be interesting to see how they play out. But this is one of the bigger corrections that we've ever seen. And it's possible that we do see something similar in that correction. Now, right now, it's at that EMA. So maybe we see it, get rejected a little bit tomorrow. That's what I would imagine. And then maybe we get into, a buy and see it push up and play some of the shorter swings. I'm not touching any of the long-term investments, which I don't advise any investors do unless you're seriously on some scarcity on what's going to happen next. But from my perspective, I'm not going to be touching any of my long-term holds. I'm holding some in semiconductors, some in quantum, some in AI, tech, as well as construction, some of the blue-collar stocks. Even though Home Depot's expecting to take a loss, and they want to take a loss because they want to pprovide good prices, I still think the stock is going to be fairly good in the future. So that's just kind of like the longer-term approach, right? But the near-term, mid-term quantum and tech stocks, these are the markets that we're in, and we want to watch them closely as they could be very lucrative or risky during these times. So it's important to have a plan in place whenever you're trading and investing. Make sure you follow that plan. It's not just something that you come up with and then you change after you invest. Like having a plan in the shorter term investments is really important, especially right now. So we'll see if there's any value fills. I would imagine maybe we see the pre-markets and some of the values up in after hours or pre-market for tomorrow. And then we see potentially a dip tomorrow at market open. And if we do, and the pre-market's way up there, maybe we can take care of and buy some of the dip to take advantage of that swing. But we'll just have to see what opportunities present themselves. If you guys want to watch me trade live and join me in that session tomorrow, I would encourage you to just simply take a look at that second link in the description to surround yourself with other like-minded individuals. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you all. Hit that like button if I earned it. And if you guys have any comments on the current market that you think, definitely drop them below. See you guys in the next video. Take care.